Hi, this is Shane Starr, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to examine a famous work of art through the lens of 8 cognitive functions. Without further delay, let's take a look. What we're going to be looking at today is Van Gogh's A Cafe Terrace at Night. This is a representation of a real place. I'll show you a little picture at the end of the video. And there's a lot to be said about this work of art. And let's get started with seeing it through the lens of the 8 cognitive functions. So starting with extroverted sensing, or SE, we would be looking at the color, the bright blues, the dark blues, the charcoals, the grays, the vibrant yellows and oranges. And not just that, but if we were to have the actual work of art here, we would also be able to distinguish the different textures that are present in the work of art. Like, I know these cobblestones down here are raised up. The sky has different textures. You know, the stars are smooth. The sky is a little bit rougher. The wood almost raises up off the canvas with the rich oil paints that Van Gogh used. And when you put it all together, it makes for a beautiful work of art, especially if we had the original here instead of simple color copy printout. But again, with extrovert sensing, we would look at the color, the details, the texture. You know, we see a cafe, we see, people. You can vaguely see some tree branches there, different buildings, tables, a little terrace, then cobblestones, a little walkway over here, and the fence up here, the perhaps apartments on top of the terrace. A nice picturesque representation. Moving on to TE, that's extrovert thinking, we have a very nice impression of exactly what the title of the work is, a cafe terrace at night. The setting is somewhere in southern France. It has, people, tables. It's a cafe environment. It's we have just the facts of what the painting is. It's not just a blob of abstractions put together in a postmodern way. And it's not just a photograph either. It's a visual representation of an artist's impression of what a semi-outdoor restaurant looks like at night. And I think that's all you would want to say from a TE perspective. Okay, moving on to FE. Now we're talking about the mood, the environment. You see the darkness of the night and the shadows of the buildings. You see the lightness and vibrance of the terrace itself. If we zoom in more closely, you see the people. You can see people together, having dinner, doing what people do when they have dinner together, talking. It looks alive. It looks like a nice environment, something desirable, something good. And it's a social environment. It's nightlife. It's a nice place. And I think from the mood of extroverted feeling, we get a feeling, at least of the people in the photograph, not just the ones in the terrace, but the ones passing by. We get a feeling of togetherness. Okay, moving on to extrovert intuition, we would look at the different interpretations of what is here, interpretations of the situation, the possibilities. Is this a a pre-party and the first people have arrived? Is it post-party and these are the last people lingering? What's behind this door? Is it a place where they're doing business or accounting, or perhaps is it a little shop where they're selling cakes and pastries and maybe coffee for passersby? Or maybe it's a bar, or maybe this part with the shadowy figures going into a bar inside or something. Notice that are people sleeping up here, or is this housing where the people work and they're down here right now and then they go to bed there? Why are these lights off and these lights on? Maybe these people are doing their own thing over there. What about these people? Are they coming, or are they going, or are they just passing by? The cobblestones, like, why do they have a raised terrace here? Is it just to delineate where the restaurant starts and ends, or is it a softer surface, more luxurious, instead of just the cobblestones? Is the building bright because it's fresh and new, or is it just the mood of the place only? These are all possibilities. We don't know the answers to them, but it's interesting to wonder. These lights over here, is this another cafe, or is it a shop, or what's over there? And the world of extrovert intuition is such we can just play with the possibilities and have fun while doing it. Moving on to the introverted functions, if we look at this through TI, introverted thinking, we would examine the artistic measurements, proportions, the balance, the symmetry, the precise balance of color. We have blue here and here. We have dark colors contrasted with bright colors in the middle. If we look geometrically, that figure in white is right in the middle. If you look, you could almost make an X here and here, so you have this contrasted with that, and then you have this contrasted with that. I think if we wanted to get even more precise, we could measure these angles. This angle with that angle, they're probably exact, and then this angle, and then this dynamic sort of curved angle denotes, motion of some sort, or at least some sort of movement or energy. And the balance, not just of symmetry, but of color, the balance between the yellow and purple hues, the balance between the orange and blue hues, and then the balance between the charcoal and dead gray hues over here with the sort of bluish gray hues over here and up here. It all balances out in perfect symmetry. If you fuzz up your eyes and look at it, you'll see different chunks of the artwork all in harmony with one another. And to me, that's examining this from an introverted thinking perspective. Moving on to introverted feeling, the purpose of art, it projects a world beyond itself, fit for our pleasure. And this work of art is valuable indeed. The original certainly is. And one would say it's in good taste. The colors are pleasant, the mood is pleasant. It would go well in a gray room, a yellow room, an orange room, a white room, a black room, even a brown room, it would look good in. It's a nice work of art, and that's maybe an understatement. It's a beautiful piece of artwork, especially the original. Again, this is just a cheap representation of it, but when we think of this from an FI perspective, at least from my point of view, we're looking at its context as a work of art as a whole. And is it good or average or bad? And I would put it far on the side of having value. Okay, moving on to something I know more about, and that is SI, introverted sensing. And that's, you know, I can really get into this because, at least from a self-typing perspective, I'm a lead SI, and, works of art really lend themselves to SI, I think, because again, art is a projection of the real world into something almost greater than itself. And this comes concretely in the form, it might be an oxymoron there, concretely in the form of an impression. So it's not about the TE notion of just like, yeah, that's a cafe, big deal. It's so much more. This brings me back to my past when I would go with my family out to dinner and I'd play under the table waiting for them to finish up, waiting for dessert to come, or later when my dad would go get drinks at the cafe and I'd be alone again, like at the table, or rather under the table, playing with my toys, waiting for him to finally get ready to leave. Or I think about parties, post prom in high school, late at night, 2 a.m, going to a place and there's a few people there, not a ton of people, but it's this calm coolness, post action kind of feeling. I think of the hotels, the dinners out, my early and more recent adult life, what it's like to find a nice restaurant you like where you know the people and you feel comfortable, and it's just a sense of peace and tranquility and happiness and satisfaction. You look at the darkness of the night and everything out there, but then you're cradled in your own little containment of light inside where it's nice and safe and happy. And I think about the future. I think of both happy, dreamlike futures, being with family members, enjoying a celebratory night out. And I could also picture being alone at one of those tables, at a bar, or, by myself or something, or being one of those people walking by on the right, or perhaps being in one of those buildings with the lights on, or being above the other one with the lights off and just sleeping while other people are enjoying the evening. To say it's just feeling isn't going deep enough. I think the SI impression of this is a deep, deep sentiment, which again, there's overlap between sentiment and feeling, but sentiment means more in terms it projects both back into the past, engulfs the present, and reaches into the future. That's the SI impression of it, according to me at least. And then last and not least, the introverted intuition, or the NI feature of this painting. And that would be the meaning, the message, it's a projection, but a projection of what? And I would say, in a word, it's nightlife. This can represent peace and harmony from the perspective of the people at the tables, or it can project a feeling of loneliness, existential angst, seeing others happy while you're by yourself taking a photo or creating a painting of it. You look at the starry skies above, is that just there in a TE matter-of-fact way, or does it mean something more? Does it mean that there's something beyond the ordinary here, something about this snapshot of life that is supposed to teach us something? As a matter of fact, Van Gogh wrote to his brother Theo about this painting, and he said that when he looks at the sky in the painting he made, he said it reminds of something that he was embarrassed to admit, and he said it was his own need for religion. And one can imagine the stars almost being the friends of the solitary onlooker of this scene. You know, it's like he's alone, but at least he has the stars to keep him company. I think a great companion to this photo would be the short story by Ernest Hemingway called A Clean and Well Lighted Place. It's a beautiful story, wonderful form, excellent writing. Again, A Clean and Well Lighted Place by Ernest Hemingway. Have a picture of this artwork next to you as you read the story, and it'll make a lot of sense. Before I let you go, I wanted to give you a snapshot of what the cafe looks like today. You can see the similarities and differences. They have it yellow. They made the chairs this reddish color, which I don't really like. They should have kept them white or made them orange. And then you can see the building. It would have been cooler to see this at night. I bet there is some artwork somewhere, or some picture rather, of the real place at night. And just to the side of this, I cut it off, but they have a poster of this artwork, and you know, it represents where it's at. Anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed our trip through Van Gogh's famous artwork, and I hope you found your own cognitive function that you lead with in there. That's all. Have a nice day.